2025 might be the weirdest season competitively in NASCAR Cup Series history. You look at drivers like Brett Keselowski, Ty Gibbs, and Daniel Suarez. All three of these drivers not only made the playoffs last year, but have the resources in place to be getting great results. All three of these drivers find themselves outside the top 20 in points. The other abnormality is the performance of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Hyak Motorsports. Outside of that complete psychopath that had them making the playoffs over Denny Hamlin, a lot of people doubted the competitiveness of this 47 program entering this season. In the offseason, Brad Daugherty and Gordon Smith were questioned. Were they in it to be competitive, or were they just trying to get their name and their company on a NASCAR charter? On the surface level, that question has been answered, as if the postseason were to start today, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. would qualify on points. It doesn't end there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has the 10th best average finish of all full-time drivers. In fact, his 16.8 average finish is better than all three Penske drivers. For a driver on a single car organization in modern NASCAR, this is overachievement at the highest metric possible. So how is this happening? The natural first thing to look at is, has the 47 team improved as a program? When you look at a couple of the metrics of Hyak's performance, no, Hyak really hasn't made any strides at all. For the last 2 years, the 47 has tried to put a bigger emphasis on qualifying. However, this is something they still struggle with, as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has the 4th worst average start among the 36 full-time drivers. This means that before the 47 team has taken the green flag, they are already at a massive disadvantage, especially in modern NASCAR, because the Gen 7 car is more rewarding of clean air than previous models. It is also a detriment to the quality of pit stops that a race team can have during a race. Obviously, your starting position determines when you are going to be able to select your pit stall. This typically means that the faster cars tend to have faster pit stops because they have an opening or an exit to where the driver can enter or exit their pit stop a lot more efficient than some of the slower cars. Considering how much they struggle in qualifying, the Hyak number 47 team does not get that luxury. Their poor starting position is hurting the quality of pit stops, as when it comes to a traditional 4-tire pit stop, this is one of the worst pit crews in the entire Cup Series. Finally, these Hyak cars do not have any pace. It doesn't matter if it's short runs, long runs, intermediates, or short tracks, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. does not have the speed to even run inside the top 20. To me, it is insane going to auto racing analytics and comparing the 47 to the 6, the 54, the 77, and the 99. Statistically, all 4 of those drivers and teams are much better, well-rounded programs than the 47 team and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Yet, the 47 is a playoff spot, while the other 4 teams are well outside the top 20 in points. Yeah, the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025 is really weird. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. doesn't have the speed on pit road or on the racetrack. So how is this guy out here with a 16.8 average finish and solidly in a playoff spot? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as a driver excels in 2 areas: restarts and defending. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is one of the better restarters in the entire NASCAR Cup Series. At non-drafting ovals, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a net gain of 33 positions. That is second only to Ross Chastain. When it comes to defense and retaining position, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is the 11th best driver in all of the NASCAR Cup Series on non-drafting ovals. Basically, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is gaining positions on restarts, and then when he gets the track position, he's doing a great job defending and making sure that he manipulates the air of the car behind him in order to keep his position. However, when you think bigger picture, this is the maturity of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and showcasing his evolution as a driver. So when it comes to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as a driver, the one word that best describes his driving style is aggressive. Unfortunately, his aggression has mostly been a detriment to his entire career. It begins all the way back at Roush Racing in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, when at one point Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got benched in 2010 because he was too aggressive and wrecking too many race cars. Ultimately, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. corrected this and went on to win back-to-back NASCAR Nationwide Series championships. Unfortunately, once he got to Cup, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. reverted back to his old ways. The main problem with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 was that he would try to overdrive the car, which led him to get into a lot of crashes and DNFs. Races like the 2018 Coke Zero 400 is what ruined Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s reputation and gave him the dreadful nickname Ricky Stenhouse Jr. As a result, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was released early from his Roush contract, and instead, Chris Buescher would drive the number 17 beginning in 2020. However, when you look back at this move with 2025 vision, it's understandable why Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was that aggressive. Roush Fenway Racing was the Kmart of NASCAR, considering how technologically outdated they were compared to Hendrick and JGR. To me, this was just Ricky Stenhouse Jr. doing what Kyle Larson did at Ganassi in 2019. He was trying to push the edge like many great racers try to do, and unfortunately he got burned more times than not. Now, the difference between Kyle Larson and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was that Larson got his chance to show that it was the equipment holding him back. Even with Hendrick Motorsports equipment, you still see Kyle Larson push the edge quite often and make dumb mistakes. However, at the end of the day, you see all the wins that Kyle Larson's getting, and this is just chalked up to him trying to push the edge. Contrast that with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a driver that doesn't have the equipment and certainly isn't in a position to where he can even run top 10. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was put into a position to where he had to change his driving style, or otherwise he would be at the bottom of the NASCAR Cup Series standings with Riley Herbst and Cody Ware. Because of that, you are seeing a completely different Ricky Stenhouse Jr. than he was back in 2017 to 2020. In year 13 of his NASCAR Cup Series career, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has finally figured out how to harness his aggression and make it his strength. Not only in the sense that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. isn't overdriving the car and making dumb mistakes, which is resulting in him getting better track position to where he gets better finishes. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has taken that aggression and has matched it well with the strengths of the Gen 7 car. This is why you're seeing Ricky Stenhouse Jr. excel on restarts, excel when it comes to defending and manipulating air, and being a little aggressive in terms of putting himself in a great aero spot to the detriment of others, something that is extremely important to succeeding with this Gen 7 car. In the year 2025, I think it's officially time to retire the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. nickname. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is clearly an evolved, experienced, yet still aggressive driver that is absolutely overachieving in this 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season.